So I was getting this message about awakening and remembering the dream, right? It's like you awaken to remember the dream. And I just got these new cards, my Egyptian God cards. I'm excited. I feel activated. I feel acclimated. I know y'all feeling something too. So I'm going to start this reading, right? I actually already started per usual. Segment came out first, right? And that represents justice here. Like this is like it's like retribution. I have segment in another deck and it talks about retribution. And this goddess energy is about, setting things straight. To be honest with you, like it can be reckless. The energy can seem reckless. It's like a tower in tarot where it's like something has to be done here. Like we go to war for something to be done, for something to be resolved, right? The purpose of tearing something down or destroying something or fighting for something is to put something in a balance, right? We're not fighting just to fight. We're not going to war just to go to war. It's because we're trying to protect something or we're trying to restore an order, okay? And so certain things have to be exposed in that case, right? So the awakening here that's going on is, this time around, right? Because we always awaken. An awakening is like, when you have like an epiphany, right? It's like now you're aware of something else. And it's like now that you're aware, some things have to change. And sometimes when those things change, things have to get dealt with. Okay. And it might look ugly, but justice is being served here. Like this is a justice card in this deck. So it's like this is something being restored. This is something being put back in a balance through this destructive time. Okay. Newt, understanding. All right, Newt is the goddess of the sky. Okay, so it's a celestial order too. It's a portal day today. There's a celestial element to this as well, in terms of understanding that cycles come around and things come around to be dealt with. This could be something karmic related. Okay, like you have to remember this. That's what I'm getting. Like you have to remember this. Like you've awakened to remember something. Things are being teared down so that you remember something. You know what I mean? I've been, speaking a lot lately about remembering your cosmic origins. Like remembering your origins. Like remembering, they say in this world, but not of it. Yeah, you got to remember that you're not of it. Like, and that when things cycle around and these, patterns start to shift and things like that, like there's always a balance. Like that's what Kemetic mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology is about, partially amongst other things. But it's like there's always a balance to things. We don't ignore the dark side. Like we understand that that's a part of life. That's a part of the experience. We got Horus, Heru. Stability and equilibrium. The numbers 17, 4, and 9 can be significant. So stability and equilibrium. Here we are talking about balance. So, Horus represents, amongst a lot of things, right? Like a connection and a unification of many elements of self. So he's wearing the double crown. So that's higher and lower self, right? In union. He's also the child of Aset and Asar. So he represents a union of divine feminine, divine masculine energy. So the stability that you have during this time of things crumbling down or chaos going on around you, the stability that you have is within. And you have to remember that. Like where there's chaos on the outside, there has to be order from within. We have to have a calmness and a level-headedness when we're dealing with things so that we can make conscious decisions or make sound decisions. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the midst of conflict, in the midst of like upheaval, like we have to know how to keep ourselves at a calm, keep ourselves at a balance. Okay. And so the key here is to balance your lower natures and higher natures. The key is to balance your masculine and feminine, having an equal expression of doing and being. Like there's a lot of having to take care of yourself. Okay. Like, don't get too caught up in the fights. I'm hearing like you don't have to get caught up in the fights. You have to be above the fighting, because the fighting that's going on is divine order. Okay. Like that's spiritual. That's spirits going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the planets. That's things beyond us that cause things to happen sometimes. It's not just our actions. So maybe that's part of it too. You need to take yourself out of thinking that you have just this grand responsibility as to why things are falling apart. Okay? We awaken to remember. Awakening is our eye opening. It's about enlightenment. It's about knowing. It's about coming to an understanding of something. Again, back to the Newt card of understanding. Coming to an understanding. I'm getting you can actually rest here in this energy. Like you don't have, I feel like someone feels like they just they have to do something. But you have to remember what you are. Like that your energy, like your frequency is already like your energy is already like solid. I'm getting you have to remember that you're already solid. What principles do you stand on? Like that's the thing too. Maybe that's the thing too that needs to be revisited. What principles do you stand on? How do you affirm your stability? Because it's one thing to intellectualize, you know, the experience, the life experience of dark and light and all of that. It's one thing to intellectualize it, but what kind of things do you do or affirm within yourself to remember how to keep yourself stable or how to keep yourself solid or how to keep a balance? Because that's what the knowledge is for. Okay? Because the spirits are doing it. Sekhmet is doing it. Sekhmet is raging. She's uncontrollable. That's part of the mythology. She's uncontrollable, and they had to trick her with the wine to make it look like blood so that they could knock her out because it was just rage. So there might be in this situation, from speaking to, a lot of destruction going on around you, but you know who you are. You know what you are. You have to understand what's happening here for the better. Always for the better. Something's being put in balance. Something's being put in order. And you ultimately, as the Heru, as the Horus, you represent that balance because you've had to have overcome things before for this card to have come out. You've had to have put some things in balance within yourself before in some other kind of chaotic experience or circumstance or situation in life. Like, because you know this already. Like, this is just another occurrence. It's another cycle. Like, there's always a portal. There's always a cycle. There's always a closing out. There's always an opening. There's always... Okay, so it's like, but your principles and the stuff you stand on don't change. Okay? Like, you got to always be able to pull those out your pocket because you're going to need those in the times where things like this happen. Those aren't going to change. Those are not going to change. Let me get one more of these. Kepri, change, or Kepra, number 18. That is the sacred scarab beetle. This is different from transformation though. Change here represents like moving one thing to another. Like, you know, like moving one thing to another. Like these cards are right here. I'm going to move them over here. Like being okay with something changing direction. Not necessarily changing into something else. So maybe that's what's going on. There's a change of direction going on in your life with this chaos that's ensuing or the things that are happening. Like there's a change of direction and you have to be okay with that. You have to know that it's leading you in a direction that is in alignment, that's in order. But you have to be okay with the change. You have to welcome the change. Your heart is a factor in this. Like maybe you tell yourself like that you're okay with change, but then things happen and then it kind of just, it rocks you and you like kind of lose sense of, you know, your highest knowing and how to incorporate things, how to turn on that higher self in the moment where it needs to be turned on. Like, that's what's happening now. Like, you got to turn that on. It has to be activated. You have to remember. You're awakening to remember. Remember. It's like Spirit saying, remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you are. Remember what you know. Remember. Because we're making things change here. We don't have control over that. That's that element of the unknown we all deal with. We cannot intellectualize ourselves out of not knowing, out of not knowing everything. Like, we're not going to know everything. We're not going to know exactly how to handle things in every single moment. Okay, it's not possible while we're living this human experience. I need somebody to understand that. I don't care how much knowledge you have. I don't care how many master teachers you have. We cannot predict every single thing that happens in this life. Your mind is powerful to the extent that you use it, okay, for the highest good, and you use it to recall and remember things in the moment. But we are at the mercy of the unknown. We are at the mercy of unpredictability and uncertainty, period. And so you're awakening to remember the things that you've learned in the past. The things that you call yourself and you tell yourself to be. You need to remember that all the time, every time. Because you're not going to escape the human experience until it's time to get out of here. Okay, so you have to have something that keeps you grounded and anchored in your knowing. I'm going to pull one of these Starseed oracles for you. Okay. Okay, that's it. You know how they say your triggers will expose you every time, like when you feel like you've healed, but then you meet somebody and all the triggers start to, all go. It's the same thing with knowledge. Yeah, okay, you know all this stuff, but when something pops off, are you going to use it? Are you going to affirm that I am God? Are you going to affirm that I am abundant? Okay, when the check don't come in, you can't pay your rent. I'm not trying to act like it's not something that causes worry in people. I'm just saying, because the knowledge is to help us. Our ancestors left this knowledge behind so that we know how to handle things out here. They didn't know to the extent of what we'd have to deal with in, say, the year 2025 and the kind of things that have happened up to this point. But these principles, right, that they left on these hieroglyphs and stuff, the principles, the virtues, the knowing, the mythologies, the stories, that is everlasting. Okay, they knew that. They knew no matter if it was raining, snowing, sun shining, tsunamis, earthquake, tornado. In times of chaos, you better have some anchor. Okay, you better have some knowledge, some tools, something to help you out. Okay, that ain't gonna change. That won't change. Okay. You awaken to remember. Chaos, sometimes it shakes us up to wake us up to remember things. We got the great severing. Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. I'm hearing like this is tearing me apart. This is tearing me apart. It's tearing away something that has served its purpose, right? Maybe an identity that served its purpose. This change is occurring because now we're moving into another self-expression, a higher self-expression, a new relationship, possibly a new experience. I'm getting it's an ego battle too. It's not just like maybe people and things that are going on. Like it's within that's going on. Mars energy. I don't know what your Mars placement is, but you might want to look into that and how that might be significant. I'm tired of changing. Changing, that's the nature of everything here. What is this? Hold on. Yeah, you got to get grounded. Like somebody's like far away from Earth. Too far away from Earth. Like you're, again, you can't use knowledge to escape reality. That's not what it's for. You're not going to out-knowledge your way out of real life situations. Something has to be practical. You got to tap back into what's practical. Okay? Don't be mad at the universe. Don't be mad at God as to why things are changing. That's what happens. Things change. I remember. Soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. Listen, we don't know everything about ourselves. We don't. We don't. We don't know everything about ourselves. Again, the element of the unknown. That's why we have relationships, because we meet relationships and we meet people and they reveal things about us that we can't see alone, right? We have blind spots that we can't see. Situations and circumstances reveal who we are on levels that we wouldn't be able to, on levels we wouldn't know unless those things happened. Okay? Like the spirits move in a way to keep us in alignment with a higher self, and that lower self is going to fight every time. The self that we are evolving out of or growing out of or healing out of is going to pick a fight every time. But again, it's what you sit on, right? What you rest on. We're not even talking about standing on business. We're talking about sitting on business, because you need to relax in this energy. Relax in your knowing of who you are and what keeps you stable and what keeps you balanced. You have to remember, it's a soul plan. Like our brain, we'll try to figure things out in our mind, in our brain all the time, but the soul has its own thing going on. The soul got its own thing going on. You know what I'm saying? Like the soul knows like the things that we ultimately have to experience, where our brain is like, well, I'm gonna do this way and I'm gonna do that way. And then our lives, right, start showing us that them plans don't work. You know, they say, you want to make God laugh, tell me your plans. Yeah, that's a real thing. That's absolutely a real thing, because we could plan all day long, but something will happen and move us in a direction that we weren't expecting. But the trust and the faith is that we're being led in a direction that is for our highest good. Now, if something doesn't resonate with you, then you got to go back to the drawing board. But this is about awakening and knowing who you are. Okay? These things don't happen for us to suffer. I don't know. That needed to be said. Things don't happen for you to suffer. This isn't about you suffering. This is about you changing and you remembering. Okay? If you enjoyed this reading, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the services I have to offer, please click the link.